Nursing students, time to talk. Welcome to the Real Talk School of Nursing Podcast, Season 4, Episode 11. I am your good and faithful host, Michael Smith.
And I'm your new co-host, Casey Jones.
Thank you for continuing to subscribe to the show. You can support the show directly on our Patreon account at www.patreon.com/realtalknursing. And for less than the cost of an Italian gentleman riding his bike through the piazza with his pant leg rolled slightly above his ankle from Hank's Oyster Bar in Washington, D.C., you can gain patron benefits such as early content, shoutouts, and special swag. Right in the show, to our boomer email at realtalknursing@gmail.com, or use Facebook Messenger, or contact us through Instagram or Twitter to share your experiences, ask questions, and give feedback. Thank you for supporting our friends, affiliates, and sponsors. Thank you to everyone who started following us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. More listeners means more and better shows. Make sure to share the episode with classmates and especially underclassmen and cohorts. Let's give a hand up to those who are coming behind us and welcome them to our community of fun, engaged, and supportive nursing students and nurses. Don't forget to reach out and tell us if you have any announcements for graduations, good grades, difficult tests, friends you want to help congratulate, and your announcement will be featured on the show. If you like the show, the Real Talk School of Nursing podcast is available on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Libsyn Web Player, Stitcher, YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. So go to wherever you download podcasts, subscribe, rate us, review us, write into the show, and smash that subscribe button. Remember to leave only 5-star reviews because that's the only ratings that count to get us noticed by more nursing students. I want you to be part of this crazy nursing school journey.
Gentlemen, the time has come. We have run out of N95 masks and we have been tasked with coming up with an alternative. So toss some ideas up here. Let's see what we can come up with. I think this is perfect. Cloth material, filters everything. Is that your underwear? Maybe. Did you wash it first? No. Well, congrats. Not only are you an idiot, but you probably also have hepatitis A.
Joke's on him. Can't get something you already have.
Mike, I got it. Nothing gets through plastic. Did you poke a hole in that so you can breathe?
What?
Somebody please pull the bag off of Mike's head. And does anybody have a single viable idea?
One word, duct tape.
Oh my God, we're all gonna be wearing underwear on our face.
So let's jump right into our prereq section. So one of the things that keeps coming up is online learning. And one of the struggles I think a lot of nursing students or prereq students are going to face in like their A&P lab and, things like that is, can labs and other normal hands-on classroom activities be effectively simulated online, and and how education is kind of shifting for what the world looks like today?
I think that's something that really depends on the individual. For me personally, online learning does absolutely nothing. I'm one of those people that just kind of, I click through the module really, really quickly so I can get it done because I can't stand just sitting there and reading or having that weird voice reading everything to me. I can't stand it. So I'm someone who needs to be doing it hands-on, and I don't think I'd be doing very well right now because I'm just I would have to stop just clicking through and doing it really quickly so I could get to the lab and do it hands-on. So I would be losing the way that I learn best, which is, I feel like a lot of people in nursing are hands-on learners.
Do you think that the more online education kind of stuff that are happening right now, do you think that kind of stuff is going to hurt the hands-on learners? I mean,
yeah, definitely.
I think people who are attracted to the nursing profession are attracted to it partially because it's a it's a hands-on career. Like, you are never going to have to, unless you choose to, you're never going to be sitting in a corner office or at a cubicle, again,
Exactly.
Unless you choose to be. But it's very hands-on. It's very interactive with patients. It's very task-oriented at times and stuff like that. Like, I wonder if over this year at least, that's going to deter like some of the people who are in a program now are going to be deterred or maybe not do as well in classes as they might have if there were things like labs and simulations and stuff like that.
Right. As much as I hated nursing labs because they're so awkward and just uncomfortable,
very uncomfortable.
Yeah, you do get a lot out of them. And I think it's something you don't realize until you find out that there's students right now who aren't getting that. And I really don't, I think I would be a student that would be really hurt by that academically.
So, one of the things that keeps coming up again is like the studying at home. And I was writing notes for this. I was literally like sitting in my bed writing notes for the show.
So you're a hypocrite.
And I'm like, total hypocrite, complete freaking hypocrite. But I've already passed nursing school, so that's okay. But I think studying at home, I think one of the most important things is not study in bed. Because... yeah,
that's a dangerous game.
I was like, I'm just going to close my eyes for a second, right?
5 hours later,
haven't read anything. I think, bed is a place for sleeping, relaxing, watching TV and things like that. And like we talked about in the last episode, we need to have a clear delineation between study time and breaks. We need to have a clear separation in this instance between study areas and relaxation areas. And I think it would be very beneficial to have those things very separated. So I'm going to, once again, promote the idea of having a dedicated study space, no matter what you call it.
A study dungeon?
A study dungeon, no matter what you call it, Adam. So preferably Adam. So, puppy's up.
Sorry.
That's real life.
He's so bad.
That's real life. He's a good puppy. He's a good dog.
He is.
He's a good dog. No. That's real life, though. So I think preferably when everyone is home, because a lot of us are not at home alone all the time. So I think when everybody is home and everybody's in the house and they're all likely doing their own thing, I think in those circumstances it would really be beneficial to have a space that you can make private. So
oh yeah, especially the people who have kids. I don't know how you could possibly do it.
A lockable door.
Yeah, but they can still bang on it and stuff.
Oh, that's
you have
happened
kids.
in a show.
Has a door ever successfully just kept your kids out? And
no, actually, I had an episode last year where I had to fix a transformer for my son. It was hilarious.
Oh my God.
It was hilarious. No, it was really fun. But for studying, I mean, like a lot of the time I was studying in the middle of the night and, or, they'd be at daycare. And so it was that time. But now that everybody's home, if the kids are at home, if you're a parent and your kids are home and you can't send them to daycare right now, or if you're a more traditionally aged student and you're home, maybe living at home with mom and dad and siblings and things like that, like you need to have your own space that, that can be cordoned off from the rest of the family. You have to have that space, I think.
And if they're driving you nuts, you have a perfect excuse.
Right.
You can just say you're even if you're not. But then you have that little designated area and you can kind of, decompress and get ready to go back and spend way too much time with your whole family.
I think, I think if it means you have to have if you can't put a door on a space, if you have a curtain, if you have to take the step of getting noise canceling headphones or, if it's a door, if you have a door, and you can post your study schedule on the outside, so they know, because you're taking a regimented approach, which I really love, a regimented approach to this, and you can post it on the outside. They know, because they get into a rhythm, and if and you communicate well with others, they know that during these times, this is your study time. And, it's like, okay, if you have questions or you have things that you need to talk about, there's things that you want me to be involved in, then those things need to happen during this period between
like during your
10
office
a.m.
hours.
Right. So you have a 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. break, and that's the time when people should bug you, not at 9:30, because you need to maintain that rhythm. So I think that's kind of where I sit down. But can you tell me kind of things? So how did things go for you when you were how did you do things? Were you married when you were taking when you were prepping for the NCLEX, when you were studying for the NCLEX?
No, and if I was, he probably would have divorced me. I was a mess. So,
because I'm drawing a comparison there between that period of time, because you're by yourself, and all of this study at home without class stuff.
Right. I was living at home, the house I grew up with my parents, and we actually had an in-law suite that I lived in. So I had my own kind of apartment that was attached to the house, but still separate. And I was dating an awful person, but I really didn't see him while I was studying.
Right. Can you, what were things that you did to make sure that you were successful while you were doing that studying? Because again, I'm drawing a comparison between,
I would
doing the NCLEX, studying for the NCLEX, and having all of this study at home time where everything is being moved online because of present circumstances.
Right. I would just text my parents and say, hey, I'm going to be studying until X time. If you really need me, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to shut my phone off. Which honestly, I barely did. I would get really distracted. I'm not very good at studying. This goes back to the hands-on thing. I'd rather do like a test out or something and not,
Sure.
Yeah. But, yeah, I would just do that and just try to set those boundaries, even though I kind of went outside them pretty frequently. And yeah, try to remove any distractions. I didn't have a TV or anything in my room, which was nice. But again, the cell phone can really get you if you let it.
That's where I struggled at the beginning, until I realized, like, I was sitting waiting for something to download, and I didn't even think about it. I was just sitting there, and I clicked on something waiting for it to, upload or whatever, and I reached over and grabbed my phone, and I started looking, like, got stuck into that Facebook video loop.
Right.
Like the video part, and all of a sudden I look up, and it was like 45 minutes. And I'm like,
it happens
oh my
quick.
God. Yeah, no, so I was just like, yeah, phone. So the phone had to go outside the room except for break times and things like that. Oh, that was that was an intense.
You went down the rabbit hole.
Oh, for sure. And I'd be a liar if I said it didn't happen more than once.
Mike.
I know. Let's take a break right here, and then let's dive into nursing school, because the nursing school segment and the new grad segment are pretty heavy. So let's save a little bit of time. Let's take a break right now, and then we'll dive into the nursing school segment. Patience. What is that? Who even has time for that? PIE is P-I-E. Patience in everything. It's a simple yet difficult, yet powerful thing to learn. Think about the last time you were impatient. What came of it? How patient am I with others? How patient am I with myself? how patient and kind am I with the trials and unexpected turns in life? Am I patient and fully aware of the blessings of each day? I've been given a gift, be it fruit or life. It's up to me to choose how to use it. This is a book of short essays on life through something as simple as pie. Here's Coletta reading Piology 101.
Piology 101, the synchronicity of pie in life. How awesome to ponder how our Creator has put our individual ingredients so carefully together. Yet we get to choose our finishing touches and the temperature settings of the day. Sometimes we're hot, sometimes we're not. Every day is spent forming our own creation of self. Some days we also form a pie. Our ingredients of the day can be mixed up, nutty and complicated, or just sweetly simple. Fruits grown out of even the best soil and conditions may become bruised, but even imperfect fruit can become a pie to savor. Life, as imperfect as it may be, has a multitude of savory and sweet bites in each new day. Pie in life, filled to the brim with the fillings of our choice, oozing and bubbling over, and just so beautifully messy. Pie in life, any pie or day can end in failure and be perfected on the next. Pie in life, presented in pieces and are just what is left over, or sometimes well presented, well-rounded as a whole. Pie and life are made up of a beautiful variety of spices and different tastes. Pie and life, overworking can make it too tough. Pie and life, tender care will always produce a perfect foundation. Pie and life, dig in while it's fresh. Share that creation.
Get your copy of The Pie Letters by Coletta Hewitt in softcover or ebook from thepieletters.com. That's thepieletters.com, and buy your copy in softcover or ebook from thepieletters.com, or you can go to Amazon. Love you all. God bless.
You're listening to the Real Talk School of Nursing podcast.
All right, welcome back. So let's dig right into the nursing school segment. So I have seen this post everywhere recently, and it's something along the lines of all nursing student loan debt should be erased after this. And
you know what really grinds my gears?
And
Really?
I mean, would I like to have no more school debt? Obviously, I would, on a personal level, love to have no debt.
But you're not going to demand it.
Should every nurse in the country have their debt wiped away because work is really hard for some? Would that be fair? Do you think so? Do you think that nurses who work at Platte County Memorial Hospital in Wheatland, Wyoming, which is a great little critical access hospital, and I've been there once, but it was, it's a great little hospital, but should the nursing staff there get the same benefits as nurses who are working at Mount Sinai in Manhattan, New York?
So the short answer is no. The long answer is
maybe.
It's okay. So dealing
no
with
good
COVID,
answer.
There's not, because I think all nurses in acute care settings, or long-term care too. I mean, a lot of nurses are dealing with the emotional effects of COVID. And I know our hospital's kind of starting to get our surge now. It's slowly getting worse and worse every time I go in. And the weeks leading up to that, just waiting for it to happen, was really taxing. I don't think I deserve...
It's pre-PTSD?
Yeah. But I don't think I deserve to have my loans wiped away because of that. But now I would love if at least like a couple grand were taken off, because this sucks. It really sucks. But For me,
from a personal standpoint, would all of us love to have no debt? Obviously.
right.
Yes, obviously that's true.
I could definitely understand a nurse at Mount Sinai, though, seeing where I work and just kind of hating me for thinking that I have it bad because they have it so much worse, I'm sure.
Right. Yes.
I don't know. I don't think we're going to get anything. I don't think we're going to get hazard pay. I think we're going to keep getting posts calling us heroes and people clapping outside of work. And I think that's the extent of it, which I've accepted. I hate it, but that's our reality.
The questions, I have so many questions when somebody asks this. I have, because what would it actually look like for someone for this to happen? Like, what would that actually look like? Does everyone get the same benefit amount? You know, and what's a fair amount if every nurse in the United States got that benefit? Now to caveat, if I were king for a day, I think I would probably go to like every ICU and ER in like the New York area and other areas that are seeing similar circumstances. I'd be like, your debt is wiped clean.
Right.
Like zero problem with that. Absolutely zero problem with that. But that's not what the post is about, right? So they're just saying if you are a nurse, all of your debt should be wiped away.
And there's a lot of different kind of nurses. So yeah, when I see those,
right.
I've seen people who work in, I don't know, a dermatology office as a nurse. And when I see that post, I think to myself, I appreciate that, but do you mean you also right now? Because
they work in a clinic or something like that.
Right. And I'm going home crying after every shift, which I've never done before. And I'm like, are you though? Like, so if you're not, I don't know. But again, this is all hypothetical because it would never happen anyway. So.
Well, but I mean, actually, I think there is a chance.
Really?
I think there's a chance. I actually do. I mean, Jesus, we just what did Congress pass? Like an $8 freaking trillion stimulus package. You know what? Wiping away all debt for all health, not just nurses, but like all healthcare personnel, like doctors, nurses, EMTs, paramedics, respiratory therapists, like. You know what that would be compared to $8 trillion? It'd be budget dust.
And respiratory therapy and the nursing is like, there's just so many healthcare professionals right now that deserve.
Right.
And I kind of hate the whole nurses are the only ones on the front line attitude. It makes me feel. I agree. Because respiratory therapists right now, oh my God, that sucks.
Like some of the people in New York, some of the RTs who are like trying to figure out how to use. Let me rephrase, have successfully figured out how to use a single ventilator to ventilate multiple patients.
That's amazing.
Genius. Should that person have, whoever figured that out, should they have like get a Pulitzer Prize or something like that? I don't know.
Have their mortgage paid off, maybe? Something.
It's a good one. But it's, So the question is, like, does everyone get the same benefit amount? Would every nurse across the United States, again, because of how the question is asked or how the issue is presented, every nurse should get all their school debt paid off. Does everybody get the same amount? And, if so, what is a fair amount if every nurse in the U.S. gets the benefit? Right. And then secondarily, and I think you hit on this a little bit with your question earlier. What's a nurse?
Ooh, I don't know.
Well, if a nurse gets their doctorate and goes into healthcare administrations,
no,
and they have loans from that, do they get the benefit?
So in my eyes, it would be LPN or BSN, and then anything above that, you're being an overachiever, which is great. I started grad school. I stopped it but.
I have my MSN.
Do you? In what?
Yeah. Nursing.
Yeah, but like, what do you do with it?
No, that was because I had a bachelor's degree before in another field. And because education is moving to the right, so to speak, so where ADN is kind of falling towards what we think of like an LPN now.
Okay.
Educationally. So there are a ton of entry level or direct entry master's degrees, and that's what I have.
Oh.
So it's wild. So to ask the question, like, okay, so they're a nurse. I mean, they had their BSN or whatever, or they were an advanced practice, an APRN. If they get their doctorate because they're going for their DNP, and they go, or they get their fine, yeah, they go into healthcare administration, or they're a manager, or they're a supervisor, or they're a DNP, and they have loans from that degree. Do they also get the benefit?
I'm going to say no. And my rationale behind that is most hospitals now are requiring a BSN. They're not requiring an MSN to work on the floor with COVID patients. So
right. But again, like, is this again, this is being presented.
Right.
Again, I'm just
an
being
umbrella term.
I'm just
all
asking,
nurses.
right? All nurses. So if this is an all school debt kind of thing, I guess I have more questions.
There's a lot more to it than just wiping it clean. I agree. And no matter what, there's going to be people who think they deserve more and others deserve less. Like if you tell me, yeah, I'm going to wipe away, or you're going to give me $10,000 towards my debt. That would be awesome. For someone who went to a private school, they would probably scoff at that and say, that's not going to help me at all.
Right. No, like, so if it is all school debt kind of thing, what about nurses who lived very frugally and they paid off their student loan debt? Should they get nothing because they don't have any debt and, they were responsible with their money and, they don't have debt anymore?
That's definitely where it gets tricky. I know I personally lived very frugally, but it just was not feasible for me to pay off my loans during school. I mean, as a college student, I was making $11 an hour maybe. So, I don't know how I feel about that. I see a lot of mixed opinions. Some nurses would say, you know what? I paid my debt. That's great for me. But if I could see that something good like that happen for my colleagues, great. And other people who say, screw that. If I had to pay it, everyone else should. I feel like there should be some kind of reward for the nurses who can't be rewarded with debt that's wiped away. I just don't know what that should be.
Because I know a ton of people who not just went through nursing school, but went through, got their regular degree, and they worked all the way through school. They never borrowed a dime. Should they get nothing because they were responsible with their money?
How long ago was that, though? I feel like that's not possible.
Like,
or did it take them 10 years to graduate?
No. Well, let's see. I think Nurse Emily, she did her, so she was like one of the very first interviews that I did back in like early 2018. It was so long ago. How old were you in 2018?
How many years ago was that?
I have no idea, 50. But it was, but I think she did her RN to BSN program and she cash flowed the whole thing.
I don't know about that.
So it's possible. I mean, but you have to take a slower approach. But if you took a slower approach to make sure that you weren't going into debt to do that, could you Like, should you get nothing because you don't have debt?
Oh, absolutely not. No, because I think the whole thing is nurses should be rewarded in some way for everything we're going through right now and putting ourselves at risk. And people just assume that all nurses have this crazy amount of debt. And they don't. There just needs to be an equivalent prize for those nurses who don't have debt.
My best friend's younger sister is a nurse, and she the first job that she ever got was at an allergy clinic.
Okay.
I love her like she's my own sister. I literally like watched her grow up. So if she's working at an allergy clinic, does she get all of her debt wiped away, like clean?
And I love the nurses at my allergy clinic, but if I had to choose between them and like inpatient care, who's, wearing really reused PPE every shift, and all of our nurses are getting diagnosed with COVID, like, I'm gonna choose the inpatient nurses.
Yeah.
Not that you're not a real nurse if you choose to do an outpatient setting. I mean, obviously there's a million different paths that you could take with nursing.
That's one of the great things about nursing is that you can go down all of these paths, but there are consequences for some of the things that you choose.
I think, and the consequence that we chose is maybe dying of COVID. So it's just, I just think that school is just ridiculously expensive, and hopefully this will be the wake-up call, because they're pushing nurses through to graduate so they can help. But if school is more affordable, how many people could have already, like Emily, who had to take a roundabout way to get to nursing, she may have been able to finish earlier if it wasn't so expensive, and she could have been in the workforce that much sooner.
Well, so here's a scenario. So if you had a nurse who got their ADN and they did they got done with their program and they owed $10,000 versus nurses that I went to school with when I did my undergrad, where at the time, school was total cost of school for 1 year was like $27,000. And so, you graduate with $100,000 in debt.
Right.
Today, I think that same school, same education, same program, same everything is $52,000 a year. It's doubled in price. So they could potentially graduate from a 4-year BSN at a private university and be $200,000 in debt.
Oh my God, it's sickening. It's so terrible.
It is. It's sickening. But so you take those two people side by side and you say, okay, well, this person, they're a nurse and they got their ADN and they owe $10,000 and they're working as a nurse in an ICU. And then you have this other person with the same amount of experience and they're working in the same department, same ICU, and they got their BSN at a private university and they're $150,000 in debt. Do both of them get all of their loans paid off? Is that fair?
I've never thought this far into it, and you're making me think into it, and I hate it. Really,
I think
say no. It has to. I think it has to be all kind of. I don't even know. Saying it's relative. Like if we all got 50% of our loans paid off, then that wouldn't help the ADN. I mean, it would, but it's so much more money for the nurses who chose expensive degree.
Right. So if you say, okay, well, it's proportional. So you say, okay, well, it's 50% of what the overall debt is. And you say, okay, well, this person got $75,000 wiped away. This person got $5,000. Again, is that fair?
Not fair at all. But if people have 10 grand left, oh my God, just wipe it away.
Yeah. I mean, again, would I like to be debt-free? Absolutely. Would every nurse that I work with who pulls multiple 16-hour shifts in order to earn more money, in order to, pay off their school loans, like, do all of those people? I mean, they're kicking their butts in order to take care of this debt.
Can we
and
just
to
all
earn
get
more
$10,000 maybe?
But again,
is that fair?
I mean, it would be fair, but does that really do anything? Does that really do anything for a ton of people? So, one of the things that I don't like doing is using crazy extremes to decide what a policy might be, and I don't think I am. I mean, I think the private university BSN, or even the state school BSN, because state schools are not cheap either anymore. Like you said, I mean, education, higher education is overinflated as far as cost goes.
You put that very nicely. I wouldn't have said it like that.
So let me ask a couple other questions, because these are normal everyday things that for nurses that exist within everybody's department. What about the person who went to nursing school as a second career and they have a degree in another field? Should only their nursing school debt be forgiven? What about the nurse who had their ADN and went on to their BSN, like Nurse Emily C? And, should everything be forgiven, or just their initial licensure? Maybe that's a way that we could do it. But again, like ADN, BSN, that's initial licensure. One person could have $150,000 in debt, and the other person could have, $10,000 in debt. What about the nurse who has their BSN and then went back to the school for MSN and DNP, like I said before, but never finished and still have that debt from school? Does that get forgiven?
I'm going to go back to what I said before, because I really feel this way. I think the degrees that are required to work in the hospital, which I think most hospitals now typically require a BSN for magnet status and all that crap. But
sure.
But the BSN, it's really not. I don't see how, as a new grad with a BSN, that you could possibly, or even a nurse with 5 years of experience in a BSN, how you could possibly be more desirable with that degree over a nurse who maybe is an LPN of 30 years. It just...
Yeah, but if you're an LPN with 30 years, do you have debt?
No.
Probably not. Probably not at that point.
My whole point is the BSN is like a lot of... I mean, I had to take yoga class in school. Like, I paid over $1,000 to take yoga because I had to have an elective.
But again, the frame of the question, because that's what I'm going off of. The frame of the question is that school debt gets wiped away for nurses. So if you had a primary degree and it was German polka history.
Right. And I took a class kind of like that, honestly. I wasn't happy about it, but I think the degrees that are required, I don't think a master's education, I think that's something you don't need a master's to work at the bedside. And I think the nurses at the bedside right now are the ones who need to be, I don't want to say compensated, because we're already getting compensated, just being paid. But getting some kind of, just a little thank you or something. You know what I mean? Like, that does it.
There you go.
I'm fulfilled. Thank you.
All done. Fulfilled. So let me ask we'll finish this part up. I'll just ask a couple of different questions. So, should doctors and other providers have their debt wiped away?
That also goes along with they have a lot more money that they owe.
Yeah, but they took a bigger risk.
That's true. I don't know.
I mean, so again, if you have, let's take a normal circumstance. So you have somebody who takes this huge risk and goes into medical school, and they go. It's not uncommon. I don't think it's uncommon for someone to graduate with $300,000 or $400,000 in debt.
Oh my God!
When they graduate from medical, right?
That just gave me chest pain.
When they graduate. No. Do you need to go to the ER? I know an ER you can go to.
No, thank you.
But $300,000 or $400,000 in debt to graduate from medical school, and that
should be illegal.
That's not atypical though. That's not atypical. So they take a bigger risk.
Right.
They take a bigger risk to do that, and you know, like they get paid more. Yeah, but they have to take this humongous risk in order to get that, and that's partially why nurses, for example, get the pay that we do, is because we take a risk.
Right.
We take a risk in education. That's the reason. It's one of the reasons, for example, that like a CNA with a low educational threshold, why an EMT with a low educational threshold, they don't make as much as or an RT. An RT is a great example. They're extremely valuable. Oh my God, extremely valuable right now. But they don't take as much of a risk, and so they don't make as much as a nurse does.
Now you're saying like the liability of, we're like if we make a mistake as nurses, it could be. Is that what you're saying as far as the risk?
Well, the risk as in I'm going to start this nursing program and I'm going to pay for it. It's an extremely difficult program that there's absolutely no guarantee. It's a very high educational threshold.
Gotcha.
That as far as acceptance goes is difficult to get into. And as far as finishing goes, I think nursing is one of the harder degrees to get into and stay in.
Right.
Right. So that's kind of where so should doctors and other providers, should they have their debt wiped away? I mean, because you talk about some of the we spend a lot of time I spend a lot of time trying to keep my docs out of the rooms because I need them as much as I think the department needs nurses like me. I need the docs to stay healthy. So it's like, no, why don't you just tell me what you want to tell the patient and I will convey that to them. You just stay out of the room. Like, if they have any questions,
well, you don't even have that choice. Our docs just won't go in.
Yeah. I mean, we have, the docs that I work with are unbelievably just amazing. So if I can shout out to the docs,
all costs.
I feel that way. Yeah. So let's why don't we end there? Because I don't think there's a good answer.
I feel I was hoping that we could together come up with a solution to fix this crisis. But all we've figured out is that we still have no idea, and there's no good way to do this.
There's no good way, and I don't think there's a fair way to do it. And
no, there's
not.
And
the thing, so I think if I came down in any way, I think the answer is, from my perspective, is that we have to pay for the choices that we make, and we pay for and we get paid for the risks that we take. I'm not gonna burden my neighbor with increased taxes because I chose to go to a more expensive school, because I could have gone to get my ADN for $10,000.
Right.
But I chose a private university, and I did a direct entry master's program, and that's not my neighbor's fault. Why should they pay for that? And I just don't, I think I made that choice, so I'm responsible for my own debt.
I think I would be not completely satisfied, but mostly satisfied if I stopped getting charged insane interest rates.
Interest rates, yeah.
I think that could possibly that it would be a start. That could maybe.
So, yeah, I'd consider it. There's other things that I want to go into, but let's.
We'll fix this crisis another day.
For the sake of time and maybe for the sake of having something to talk about later on, why don't we end here, and then let's come back and we'll dig right into the NCLEX prep and new grad segment of the show.
I've heard people say that too much of anything is not good for you. But I don't know about that. As many times as we've made food, and we've shared food, and we've made food, it just doesn't seem to me like it's enough. It's just not enough. It's just not enough, babe. My darling, I can't get enough of your food, babe. Girl, I don't know how. I can't get enough of your love, babe. Okay, that's enough. This is ridiculous.
Okay, I won't subject you to any more of my singing if you go to foodiequeen.com. That's FOODIQUEEN.com and connect with Michelle Gray and join her Facebook group. There are almost 28,000 members, and you can start to see why when you look through her multitude of recipe samples in the group. Members share their successes and reach out for help and support in this great community, led by the foodie queen herself, Michelle Gray. Listen to Season 4, Episode 7 to listen to our interview. Good luck, have fun, and join her group. All right, well, welcome back. So, I think we're going to do like an abbreviated or a somewhat abbreviated NCLEX Prep New Grad section. And I'm going to pick a pet peeve because I think it'll make for good discussion, and maybe some of you will get to see how petty and stupid I am. And
oh my God. Are we going to talk about the stupid TikTok videos again?
TikTok videos.
Oh my God. You are such a grumpy old man.
I am a grumpy old man. But I just...
All right, let's hear it.
I just got to ask, like, are nurses outside of the ICU and emergency department spending, like, why are they spending so much freaking time choreographing dance videos in PPE?
I'm going to stop you right there. Why do you think ICU and ER nurses are the only one dealing with COVID?
I don't. I mean, I don't. I just, we're not even at the height of this yet. And if I'm using last night's shift as an example, I got my ass kicked last night, and we're not even busy yet. And I just, I presume that the busiest two departments in almost every hospital are going to be the ICU and emergency department, generically speaking.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
You know, but it's like, I mean, I don't know, like, the choreographed dancing, and it's not even the, like, I recall sometime last summer, almost a year ago, where there was this Washington state senator, she who I will not name, and she made some offhanded comment about, you know, how most nurses in critical access rural hospitals, you know, had so much time on their hands that they were probably playing cards for, you know, a bunch of time during their shift. And to prove her wrong, there was all kinds of pictures everywhere of people playing cards. The staged pictures of people playing cards, and these
you compare it
and these elaborate photos and stuff like that. And so now today, which just seems very ironic and whatever. And today, in order to prove that we are so busy during this COVID-19, every nurse should get all of their debt paid off. We are so busy. I mean, just look at the faces of people who have to wear these masks all day. And to prove how busy we are. We are choreographing TikTok dances.
Okay. I haven't heard it put in those terms. And now I kind of get why you're always so angry about it.
So grumpy?
Yes, grumpy. The way I'm conflicted on it. For me, I really don't care if you want to dance at work. Sometimes I enjoy the video. Sometimes they're funny. Other times they're kind of cringy. But if
look, I mean, I will. Have I taken a selfie at work? Of course I have. Does anybody, I mean, do I delete it right after because none of my pictures of myself
No one wants to see that.
Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that. But like, everybody has pictures at work of, them with their workmates and whatever. And now that everybody or all of my department is all PPE all the time, taking a selfie with other friends and coworkers of yours, and we're all wearing masks and goggles, glasses, hair covering, gowns in a lot of areas. Like, that's normal and fun, and it's no different than what it used to be like. But it's the time that it takes to choreograph. Like, God, there was this video the other day of like these people who had like big balloons or like exercise balls.
That one.
The exercise balls on their butt or whatever, and I'm like, how did they collect all the balls? How did they get all the gowns? How did they do all this stuff? It definitely looks practiced. Like, how much time do you have?
See, but these videos are 10 seconds when they're online, so...
They're not 10 seconds, though. They're like a minute.
Well, but that's the thing. When you see it, and if I see a video and it's just like a snippet of a TikTok, I'm like, oh, okay, they took a couple seconds out of your day. But when you put it like that, they probably did spend...
But that's the thing. So, like...
However...
So from your experience now being on the pre-production side of this show... So this episode is going to be a maximum of 1 hour and 24 minutes. But how long does it actually take you and I to put the whole show together? We're going to record for 3 hours.
I'd rather not answer that question.
And then all of the editing.
I'd admit that you're right.
And that'd be terrible if I was. But yeah. I just, like, I'm having a hard time with it because it's, do I like TikTok? Do I like some of the videos that are coming out? My friends have TikTok. Like, there was this there was like a cancer patient who was going grocery shopping, and she made some really funny TikTok videos, and a nurse at the hospital like recognized her, not from her being at the hospital, but from the TikToks that she would make. And it was like, that's so cute. That's so sweet. And it's like, do I love that? Yes, I love that. Yes, I love that. I just can't. I can't justify. I just can't justify the time wasting. I don't get it.
So the only thing that bothers me, because like I said, I don't really care. I'm going to work hating my life. If other people are able to have fun and not be stressed out of their minds, good for them. The only thing that bothers me is when I see these stupid conspiracy theorists who think that the hospitals are empty because they drive by the outside of the hospital and it looks like dead, which I have a lot of issues. Maybe we'll have to do a different episode on that because we don't keep patients outside the hospital, so I don't know what that proves. But it's the people like that who are doing the film your hospital stuff that are seeing these videos and completely just thinking that all nurses are over dramatizing this whole thing. And it's that frustrates me.
I can completely understand where you're coming from. Cause like we're not allowing visitors at all.
Right.
I mean, well, I shouldn't say that. We're not allowing visitors unless the patient is literally dying. So
Right.
cardiac arrest.
Same with us.
Yeah, cardiac arrest. We put a N95 on the spouse or daughter, son, whoever is there. We put an N95 on them. Be like, yeah, come back. If you want to be back for the last moments of your family member's life, and
right.
and so you can understand what's happening, and so when the doctor
That's
needs
nice. I've just been FaceTiming relatives and like holding the phone over the patient.
Oh, I can't imagine. Like we don't deal with patients for a long period of time like people on med-surg do. I can't imagine how difficult it must be for you guys to have that long-term relationship going with patients and families, and they're calling in multiple days. Like, are you spending a lot of extra time talking with family? Like being on the phone talking with family?
For what I do, so I work on a tele floor, so I luckily only have 3 to 4 patients on day shift. I can't imagine any more than that right now because it's so hectic. But I'll start my shifts and I'll call all the primary contacts for all my patients and say, I will update you before the day is over, just so I kind of limit the amount of calls that are coming into me.
Sure.
So if I introduce myself and they say, okay, I know they have a nurse, she's going to be in rounds at some point and she'll get back to me, maybe they won't bombard me with calls. But if I had 2 days in a row, I had patients that were on hospice, and I tried not to call their family a ton because I know every call they're thinking, Dad died.
Yeah, this is
finally.
it. This is it.
So yeah, so that was, I had like my introduction call that I do. This is what I've been doing with my patients that I have a feeling are going to pass on the shift. And I'll say, I'll keep you posted. I'll keep mom or dad comfortable, whatever, let them know the plan for the day. And then we set up a time so they could FaceTime. And then after that, it was kind of unspoken. Like the next time we talk is when I'm calling you to tell you that your loved one had passed.
So let me ask you, since we started the segment with the TikTok dancing. So even though you are not an ICU nurse and you're not an ER nurse, would you in your day be able to dedicate 30 minutes to creating, choreographing, practicing, and filming a 1-minute TikTok video? With
absolutely
not just you, but
it's been like a war zone lately.
Because it's not just you. It's 8. It's like 10, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 other people who all have to have time at the same time.
Maybe they're like, well, and it's hard to differentiate nurses when they're in PPE, because normally if I saw nurses dressed like that, I would think they're an OR nurse with a scrub cap and all that. But you don't really know who's because there are some hospitals that their census is really low right now because people are avoiding the ER when it's unnecessary. And for a little bit, our census was really low too. And then it was like one day, it just skyrocketed. Yeah. And I can't imagine,
but even before that, like even when your census is down, you're either not there because you shouldn't be, or you're getting low needed, or whatever the deal is. I just,
there were definitely times on night shift when we could have done a video like that, but it just has never interested me and my coworkers, I don't think.
But if you were, so again, the going back to the Maureen Walsh, she who I named and said I wouldn't, Senator Walsh, when she said, in order to prove her wrong, we did all these choreographed pictures and highly produced card games and stuff like that, and now to prove that we don't have any time now. So in the environment where we're all trying to prove that we deserve to get all of our debt paid off, and we are trying to prove that we're all busy, and even though the parking lot is empty, there are still lots of patients in the inside of the hospital. In that environment, do you think that it's okay to do
appropriate?
These? I don't think it's appropriate.
So for the credibility aspect, I don't think it's completely appropriate. And I say that because to the public, all nurses are battling COVID. All nurses, like,
exactly.
And that's how it's. And then people get pissed when they find out not all hospitals are like Mount Sinai in New York.
Right.
And I think the public, just because a lot of people who are very obviously skeptical of the media think that we all want them to think that we're all just drowning at work constantly, and we're not. And I don't know. I feel like some people, it's a morale booster for them. I personally can't imagine having time to do it right now or anytime in the foreseeable future.
Again, I don't mind. Like, I know everybody's got to blow off steam. You know, you have to. I get that. I just think the way that
right now,
doing, it's the wrong thing.
The thing that upsets me most about it, because I truly don't care either way, but the thing that upsets me is when I see the conspiracy theorists posting, oh, look, it's another nurse making a TikTok video, and I'm just like, God damn it.
Yeah, but
otherwise, I don't care.
Yeah. I might be one of those people who are like, it's another group of 10 nurses making a TikTok video.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. All right. Well, this grumpy old man, we'll end the segment, and then coming up, introducing for a limited time only, for the love of God, for a limited time only, we're going to do a segment we'll call the Corona Corner. Are you tired of the same old badge reel? Do you have to wear the same scrub color as everyone else? Are your undershirts boring and kinda stinky after wearing your lucky shirt through 5 in a row 12s? You can wear your personality in other ways. Go to badgeladybynerdwear.com and check out her massive selection. Tell her you're a Real Talk School of Nursing podcast listener and use the promo code REALTALK20 at checkout for 20% off your order. Expect 2 to 3 weeks for custom orders, and a few days depending on her actual job schedule, because she's a real nurse, to get your badges made and shipped. I know you'll treat her like your best friend at clinicals, so go to badgeladybynerdwear.com and order the coolest custom and original badge reels out there. Go to badgeladybynerdwear.com and use the promo code REALTALK20 for 20% off your order. That's badgeladybynerdwear.com. and use the promo code REALTALK20 for 20% off your order. All right, well, welcome back. So, welcome to the Corona Corner. And no, this isn't where we sit at our favorite booth in our favorite restaurant and have a couple of cold drinks with good friends. No, we're here to talk about disease. Isn't that fun?
Ooh.
So, what are the long-term effects of COVID? First off, the sky's not falling. One of the things that I'm really worried about isn't necessarily the coronavirus, but it's the economy. And I'll come back to the economy. But one thing that I've heard from a lot of people is comparing the coronavirus to the flu. And some people have been lambasted or, gotten tongue lashing for making the comparison because it's, quote unquote, here's my air quotes, just the flu. So the question is COVID-19, the coronavirus, the Chinese virus, the Wuhan virus, the Chinese Wuhan virus, SARS-CoV-2, which is actually the name that I'm trying to move to, is it really like the flu? And the answer is kinda. First, I think it's an apt comparison.
That's the most I will let you say. That's the farthest extent I'll let you compare it.
Well, but I think it's an apt comparison because they're both viruses and they spread virulently, like viruses do. And the next...
Oh, is that how they spread?
They spread like viruses. And so, the next thing, it seems to affect different people differently. Some people, when they get the flu, it's like a cold. And while others are taken out for days... and still others die, So I don't know if I don't know if this statement should go in the same or different category, so I'm just putting it kind of in the middle. It's just like the Spanish flu of 1918. So SARS-CoV-2 is in 2020 is the Spanish flu in 1918. Not the flu of today. The coronavirus isn't the flu of 2019, but the Spanish flu year one. Because the flu year one really sucked. It sucked so bad that 102 years later, what most people know about the year 1918, it was the year that the Spanish flu hit humanity. And maybe some of us know that it was also the year that World War I ended, but, whatever. Yeah.
Is it?
So it's estimated, for example, that in 1918, 500 million people got the flu. And it killed 50 million people worldwide. In the United States, it killed 675,000 people in year one. So if we compare that today, so why was Spanish flu year one so bad? Because the people of that time had no defenses. No vaccines, no treatments, no Tylenol, no testing, much like today. So at the time, if we're comparing a couple of things, at the time there were a few cities in the U.S. that did much of the same things that we're doing now. I think, and as a side note, I think society is going to someday, not today, but someday, look back on this time with a little bit of nostalgia. Be like they're gonna talk to their families. Like, remember when we all just stayed inside? Remember when we didn't have to touch people, and we got to catch up on our TV shows and spend time with family.
I really am gonna miss the days when I could just stay home and be antisocial, and no one knew I was doing it by choice because I was being forced to do it.
But do you think that things slowed down a little bit? I mean, we're all living these fast lives with the smartphones and this and that and the online calendars, and we're packing all these sports in with all of our kids, and parents with kids who are in sports, they're constantly driving all of these places, and it's just life seemed to slow down. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. So.
No, it's not. And I'm not a parent, so my mind doesn't go to that. I more so am liking this nice little reset button for our planet. I think it's a great thing.
I agree. Yeah. So if we go back to 1918, I think it was St. Louis who did almost the exact kind of thing that we're doing now. So they enacted broad-based quarantines. And cases in that case continue to go down. So what's going to be important in a couple of months or in a month or so, depending on where you are in the country, is that when they lifted some of these restrictions, there was a resurgence of cases. And again, that's going to be an important thing to remember in the next few months. So I think the comparison between the flu and the coronavirus is a good one, but I really hate it when people say the flu is no big deal. Because I think I share the sentiment that many other nurses and providers around the U.S. that were a little bit annoyed when people don't get their flu shot, because I think
a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it drives me insane.
I think the majority of people who get the coronavirus will probably have minor symptoms. I think there's tons of people walking around right now who probably have the coronavirus and they have no idea that they have it, or whatever, they have minor symptoms. So the regular old flu, if we're using air quotes again, the regular old flu killed 35,000 people last year, and 60,000 people the year prior to that in the United States. And it kills 500,000 people worldwide every year. That's 102 years after the original outbreak, with all of these treatments. So
it's still pretty serious.
I don't really like it when people do is it's just the flu, because just the flu still really freaking sucks. So the other thing that I hear all the time from people is that the coronavirus is like 30 or 40 times more deadly than the flu. And I think this stems from the early report that the coronavirus has a 3 to 4% mortality rate, and the seasonal flu has a mortality rate of 0.1%. And I think the big difference, as we're kind of as I'm channeling you towards this argument, the big difference between the flu and the Rona is that 0.1% mortality rate that the flu has isn't the mortality rate that we get when we have no defense. The 0.1 mortality rate is due to a 50% inoculation rate in the United States. The FDA has 4 approved drugs, all antivirals. And so, even with all that, we're still losing tens of thousands of people every year.
So do you think that 100 years from now, people will say, oh, it's just the coronavirus and just not get vaccinated?
So that's kind of my,
right.
So, and here's another thing, seasonality. So I have to admit that I've said several times that I surely hope that the coronavirus has a seasonal aspect to it. I'm kind of wondering if I'm wrong, because
I had the same thought, and I'm starting to think we're both wrong. I don't think it's going to be seasonal.
I kind of hope it's not, because over the short term, I would love to have some short-term relief this summer, but I'm not sure that I want to keep being a nurse if I have to fight fight only 50% of people getting the flu vaccine, and we have to deal with the coronavirus every year for the next 100 years. So I kind of think it's more like I kind of hope that it's like measles, where once you're immunized, you're fine, and then we can eradicate it, except for the little pockets of anti-vaxxers like my sister. Who go and visit their grandparents in nursing homes and hang out with other little anti-vaxxers and spread it further, all while claiming the health benefits of dropping aged urine into your eyes. And
does your sister do that?
I have no idea. I don't care.
Gross.
If she does, it's great punishment for her being an idiot. But as a side note, I haven't seen much from the anti-vaxxers in a while, so I'm hoping that their healing crystals are working out for them. So
yeah, they're probably not.
I think one of the worst things about all of this might be that we as a people might be watching more and more shows like The Tiger King, as people more.
Oh, we just finished that last night.
Throw up.
It's
what
so
I fear
sad.
is that the quality threshold of what might make it onto TV shows will continually drop because nothing more is, nothing new is being produced. So I am going to blame it all of this coronavirus shit on Carol fucking Baskin. And that's what I'm going to do.
I hate that lady.
So let me come back to the economy, because I think I remember in 2008, and I got to get through this kind of fast because we're running out of time, but I remember in 2008 when everything was on fire and the economic downturn, everybody was like, we're never going to recover from this. And I'll tell you what I'm really afraid of right now is like the $6 or $8 trillion spending bill, and if the cure is worse than the disease. And I kind of wonder how this corona stuff is going to change the economy. Of course, we have tons of people who are suddenly able to work from home. And when this is all done and we can safely send our kids back to school and things like that, I kind of wonder if people will want to go back to work, and will companies even be able to or want to bring people back. So a few of the consequences of this might be things like an end to large company buildings and corporate headquarters. And I think somebody is going to look at these, the huge expense of these companies with these huge rent payments on these huge buildings, and somebody's going to go, well, I think we should reduce our risk. I think we should, reduce our financial liability, and we're going to get rid of the building. And then these huge empty buildings are going to be reallocated for what? I'm hoping that as we bring manufacturing back to the U.S. from China, maybe it's used for that. Or maybe it can be reallocated for housing. I remember doing community clinicals in nursing school, and there being a huge shortage of housing for homeless housing and stuff like that. Will school buildings? How about elementary schools and high schools and all that? They're going to be these. They've been empty for months now, or for a month at least now, and will those buildings,
like if we were to actually go back to normal activity at April 30th, which I don't think we will. I think they're going to tell us in 2-week increments about because if they said we're not going to go back to normal until July 30th, people would lose it. Like, we can only handle 2 weeks at a time. I think if this ends up going on for months, I think there's a very good chance that it could kind of be a new era as far as people like working from home and everything. But I think if we went back to work, or if normal people went back to work the next 2 weeks, it would just be like this never happened. Maybe.
So I kind of wonder if some of the consequences are going to be things like, will homes become larger? Because people, homes are going to now have to accommodate dedicated office space for one or both parents. Will the population in cities start to decline because people don't need to live close to their jobs and don't need to avoid a commute to work, since their commute might be going downstairs? Will this be a great amount of reduction in fuel use, in things like that, and will greater internet service be demanded by more suburban rural communities as economic engine is in the home instead of in downtown of big cities? I think that after all of this is done, I wonder if this won't be the pain that invigorates American imagination and leads to a really great economic boom in the U.S. I really do have a lot of hope for that. So, and here's the reasons: greater access to work in the form of manufacturing and work from home opportunities, more school choice, more housing options available, reduction in dependence on oil and reducing air pollution as commuters are reduced significantly, and therefore a reduction in the number of types of vehicles that people purchase. I had mentioned before that I was having a conversation with my mother on Easter Sunday about how we adjust as a society to how simple things like movie theaters and restaurants will survive this. I kind of wonder if restaurants are going to configure themselves to be like more of an experience. So what does this have to do with nursing? I think what this really has to do with nursing is probably minimal, except for the fact that you are probably in a relationship as a listener. Casey is not married to a nurse. Weirdest thing. And so it's going to have an effect on you and your family. And I think soon, your significant other is going to have to wear something other than sweatpants and a hoodie and get the economy going. But it's not going to be the same economy tomorrow as it was yesterday. And I'm kind of thinking that we all have to go through some pain to grow, but we need to get through this pain because growth is on the other side. Mark Klimek and I.
So you feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel?
I think wisdom is on the far side of struggle, and we're in the struggle part right now, and we're going to be smarter and better and invigorated by this struggle. I mean, think about the struggle that you go through in nursing school and the struggle that you go through in your life. You come out the other end of that, generically speaking, better, tougher, and better able to handle things. And that's where I think we're going to go as a people. I think that's where we're going to go as a society. I certainly hope so, and I have a lot of faith, and I have a lot of hope for the future. And I think that's where we need to end the show today.
Look at you, not being grumpy. I like it. I've never seen this side of you.
Let's end the show there. Love you guys. We'll see you in the next couple weeks. This Real Talk School of Nursing podcast is a Real Talk production. This podcast is dedicated to our brothers and sisters on the front lines of this COVID-19 situation. And to my kids, Luke and Ruth, I love you and I miss you.
Sic semper tyrannis, facta non verba.
Good night, Steve Cannon. Wherever you are. Annyeong kasayo. Now you go home.
Thanks for listening and subscribing. You can support the show directly on our Patreon account at www.patreon.com/realtalknursing. And for less than that cup of coffee you'll never have time to drink at work, you can gain patron benefits such as early content, shoutouts, and special swag. When you support our show, you're also supporting our friends, affiliates, and sponsors. Contact us through email at realtalknursing@gmail.com or through Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter if you have a topic or story you'd like us to discuss on the show. Huge thanks to all our new followers on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. More listeners means more and better shows. Make sure to share the podcast with classmates, underclassmen, and colleagues, and let's welcome them to our community of fun, engaged, and supportive nursing students and nurses. And let us know if you have a classmate or coworker that could use some recognition or words of encouragement, and we'll give them a special shout out on the show. If you like the show, the Real Talk School of Nursing podcast is available on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Libsyn Web Player, Stitcher, YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. So go to wherever you download your podcast, subscribe, rate us, review us, write into the show, and hit that subscribe button. Remember to leave only 5-star reviews because that's the only ratings that count to get us noticed by more nursing students. I want you to be a part of this crazy nursing school journey.
The Real Talk School of Nursing podcast is a holy moly, I can't believe you're still listening to this podcast.